Hello, my name is Chelsea Vaughn, and I'm going to be giving you a little bit of information about the life and photographic career of Arthur Felig, better known as Weegee. The quote I selected is by William McCleary, who wrote the foreword for Weegee's first book, Naked City. The quote reads, "He will take his camera and ride off in search of new evidence that his city, even in her most drunken and disorderly and pathetic moments, is beautiful." I love this quote. I think it perfectly describes Weegee's passion and his drive as a social documentary photographer. His work does portray an often dirty, harsh, depressing city, but that's not why he didn't do it to portray that. That's not even what Weegee saw. He didn't do it for the gruesome events. The gruesome events that he photographed weren't his focus. His focus was the raw, intense emotions of the people that were affected by these often life-impacting events. A couple photographs of the little dude cheesing it with his camera, his little beloved camera. So he never strayed from one type of camera. In Naked City, he's quoted, he says, "The one and only camera he uses is a 4x5 speed graphic with a Kodak Ektar lens in a Supermatic shutter, all American made." So that was his go-to, that was his tried and true that he stuck with. This picture on the right, I love. It's with him in his notorious little Chevy that he drove around to all the crime scenes with, just jam-packed with everything that he could possibly need to produce a story so that he could drive there, take pictures, write a little story about it on his typewriter, and just turn it in. It was probably like the first mobile newsroom. So let me tell you a little bit about his life and his accomplishments. So he first became interested in photography when working as a darkroom assistant for first the New York Times for a couple years and then Acme newspapers. And he worked as a darkroom assistant from about 1921 to 1935. So then in 1935, he decides to really embrace his love of photography. So he quits his job at Acme newspapers and embarks on a freelance photojournalism career. 1935 begins the period of his most significant work, from 1935 to 1947. Early on in this time is when he obtains a permit for a police radio to be installed in his car so he can listen to the activity on the scanner and, get the one up on everybody else and get there first. Hence the name that I hate when people give themselves nicknames. It's just so precocious. But luckily for him, it caught on. So he gave himself the name Weegee around this time for his, uncanny ability to get there first that mimics the supernatural abilities of the Ouija board. So in 1941 is his first solo exhibition. It's called Weegee, Murder is My Business, and it's at the Photo League in New York. Things are going good. He's still taking pictures. Naked City, his first publication of his photography, his first book, is out in 1945, and it's just a huge hit. So commercially successful that he is financially set for life, so he can kind of dabble in other photographic interests. So he does move to Hollywood briefly after this period of time to pursue film a little bit. He makes a couple short films. His book Naked City had been turned into a film, which kind of sparked that interest. So he's in Hollywood making a couple short insignificant films here and there, and then he also takes a bunch of distorted portraits of celebrities like Marilyn Monroe and a bunch of just weird pictures, and those are what compile his book Naked Hollywood. But then he eventually says, I'm not really feeling Hollywood, and moves back to his one true love of New York to continue. He, show up at his show, he talks a little bit, and he writes couple more books, a little more shows here and there, but pretty much just enjoying taking a couple pictures of the last of his life. So this picture I love. It's out of Naked City, and it's from the section Sunday Morning in Manhattan, where he just cruised around in the wee morning hours checking out the city that he loves so much. And I love it because it's just a drunk man asleep. Not even under the awning of the funeral home. Like, I mean, might as well go right next to it and not be super close to the street. But not even using the awning as covering. Just out, just napping. Just no big deal. This picture, also from Naked City, appears in the section called Fires, and just the emotion here, and I mean, what he wrote with it, he said, I cried when I took this picture. And what you can't see here is the opposite page in Naked City is a picture of firemen carrying out a body on a stretcher that's covered. I mean, obviously, I don't know if it's the daughter that's spoken of in this quote, but it definitely adds to the emotional impact of the situation. This picture I love. It's also in Naked City. It's in the section Murders. You can see there's a little dead body in the ground. And the quote I love. So it says, this happened in Little Italy. Detectives tried to question the people in the neighborhood, but they were all deaf, dumb, and blind, not having seen or heard anything. But there is clear photographic evidence that there's at least, 35 people who definitely heard or saw something, considering they're all craning their necks out their balcony. We got people on the fire escape over there. They definitely saw something. So I love his own little humor twist on what he saw. I love the narrative that goes along with the pictures. This famous picture of children witnessing like their first dead body. Love this. Also in Naked City. I love this just because of the juxtaposition between the dead body on the ground covered in newspapers and the billing that's up there that says the show that's about to happen, The Joy of Living. It's just so, and of course, that's the title of the photograph, The Joy of Living. Just what are the chances? Super famous photo, also in Naked City, in the section, The Opera, titled The Critic. This photo actually was entitled under a couple different names. It was first published in Life magazine on December 6, 1943, with the title The Fashionable People. It's at the opening night of the Metropolitan Opera, and this picture, which is the most famous version, this is the one that is in Naked City, the one that was in Life magazine, it's the most reproduced, is actually only 1/3 of the original photo. Also from Naked City, I love this Norma just shaking it at the nightclub. Then he's got a little close-up of Norma's classy leg. Ladies keep their money in their stockings. Got a ball of like wadded up, nasty ones. That foot's crammed uncomfortably into the shoe. I just love it. I love that you can kind of see his sense of humor through these photographs. Another ridiculously famous picture that was in Naked City, and also his first photographic show, Weegee Murder Is My Business, that appeared at the Photo League in New York. This was there too. So this picture is also a smaller version of the original. The original, as you know, has the police photographer on the left taking a picture of him as well. Cute little lost children. He waited here 4 hours to find the first lost child of the season, and he was so stoked. But it says in this quote, at least he felt for them enough. He didn't go up to the mom that was all worried and the little screaming kid and ask them for their games and everything, even though he wanted to. Oh my gosh, love this. So it's from Naked City. It's called Time is Short. You see Time is Short on all these people's balconies. But if you look at these people, I mean, time could never creep more slowly. The looks on their faces just say, we've been standing here forever. This I included only because I thought it was cool that it's an infrared negative. He didn't do too many of these, but he did a couple of what definitely would be considered as annoying children in the theater by today's standards. Those little girls need to sit down, and she probably needs to stop blowing noisy bubbles that loud. Love this. Self-portrait of police van. It's not only a self-portrait, but it's like it shows his little fun, playful side. He's laying down. He's a fun dude. This picture shows he's a fun dude. Here's another one, just that's an ambulance being, pulled out of the water with a poor ambulance driver being pulled out of the water. This is the cover of his book, Weegee's People, and I love it only because I can relate as someone who would also stand on that little pole on the side of the bar to perhaps, look a little taller, maybe like reach the bar a little better with everybody else. So I like this picture. So Weegee, to sum up his contribution to photography, he was really one of the first people to use that flash lighting style, and it not only, I mean, the look that it gave the photographs was so unlike any other at the time, and it also reprinted really well in with the contrast, the tones of newspapers. His style of really bright flash, really dark background, printed very nicely on print, and so that worked out for him well too. And then, I mean, he pretty much created and fostered that I need to get to the scene first desire. Like, just him having the ingenious idea to get a police scanner in his car, which now is so commonplace. I mean, you'd probably be, as a freelance photojournalism photographer that doesn't have a police scanner in your car, you're probably not getting any quality pictures. So this new style that he made and just the love of his city is evident through all his work, and he just contributed a lot to photography in that way. All right, thanks guys. I hope this isn't over 10 minutes. My last one was 13.